We'll call the regular session of the Schertz Planning and Zoning Commission for October 9th, 2019 together. Our first order of business will be seat an alternate if necessary. We don't have any. We got one? Yeah. What are we going to do with it? Oh, we're going to see. Oh, that's what it said, wasn't it?
Sitting alongside you. What more could you ask for?
Now we're really up to snuff. All right. Got that one taken care of real quick like. We'll move on down to the consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of two items. The minutes, of September the 25th, 2019's regular meeting is first item A, and second item B is PC 2019-036. Consider and act upon a request for approval of a final plat of the Ryan Valley subdivision, Unit 3B, an approximately 13.5 acre tract of land generally located 3,000 feet east of the intersection of FM 1518 and Roy Corbett Drive, City of Schertz, Guadalupe County, Texas. Do either of these need to be pulled from the consent agenda for discussion? I hear no one speaking, so I'm going to assume we can call for a motion on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All right, I got Ken. Who was the second? Okay. Richard, thank you. Have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Anybody need to discuss anything? All right, if not, then we will call for a vote.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Consent agenda is approved. We will now move to item 5. What about item 3? Oh, hearing of individual residents. We ain't got none, do we? Okay. I'm sorry. Well, there was no flag being waved, so there better not be anybody signed up. And he's ready to go for number 5. All right, items for individual consideration. I'm getting there. 5A, PC 2018-049. Consider and act upon a request for approval of an amendment to the master development plan for the HGV investment subdivision, an approximately 85 acre tract of land generally located at 21799 FM 2252, City of Schertz, Comal County, Texas. Staff.
Turn on my mic. All right, as Commissioner Evans said, this is a master development plan amendment for the HEV investment subdivision. Just for your reference here real quick, this is the subject property outlined in green. This is FM 482 along here, and this is FM 2252. And these are the two Union Pacific railroads. So according to our UDC, a subdivision master plans require for any development in which the property is undeveloped, greater than 50 acres in size, and under one ownership. And so an original master plan for the HEV investment subdivision was approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission back in 2009 in order to plat and further develop this Unit 1 right here. The applicant is proposing to amend the original HEV investments master plan, which you can see on the screen, in the area outlined in red, reducing the total number of units from 5 to 3. The only portion of the property that is affected by this master development plan amendment is the proposed Unit 2, which is currently split into 3 different units, 2 through 4. This master development plan amendment is necessary because the applicant is currently proposing to preliminary plat the proposed Unit 2 into 2 commercial lots in order to develop one of them into a building materials and lumber store. All plats must be in conformance with the master plan on file, So that's why they're doing this amendment. Besides that, the master development plan is consistent with all applicable zoning requirements and UDC regulations, so staff is recommending approval of the master development plan amendment as submitted. And as you can see here is the proposed master development plan amendment with that area moving from 3 units to just the 1 unit 2. The engineer is here for any questions you may have, and with that, we'll take any questions.
Does that engineer wish to make any statements at this time? All right. Then staff, we have questions, comments, concerns? All right, go over one more time. I want everybody to hear very specifically one concise issue. What's being amended?
What's being changed? So this is the original master plan. As you can see, there's 5 total units, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And with this amendment, this area in red, which is currently units 2 through 4, is being changed to just 1 unit 2. And this changes from 5 to 3.
Say it was previously approved by us when?
2009.
10 years ago?
The original master plan was, yeah.
I could see making Unit 2, because part of that area was originally Unit 2. But turning Unit 5 into Unit 3, don't we always go up in number once we have used that number? We do not reuse that number, so that would have been Unit 6.
Can be a change, yeah.
Well, Mr. Chairman, no, and it is a little confusing because what you're talking about are when we talk about block numbers and lot numbers. If we were talking lots here, yes, then we would be looking at other numbers. And I have to admit, this whole unit business was a little confusing. I probably had to look at this 3 or 4 times to really grasp. No, it's because it's, if you think about it as a residential subdivision, they come to us with units, and I believe those units are based on the way they want to construct things. So with that, I will make a motion that we approve item 5A, PC 2018-049.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to approve PC 2018-049 by Glenn and a second by Richard. Any discussion? All right,
No changes, right? As it is? Glenn?
as it is, yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
based on his statement. Okay. Here we go. And no discussion, then we'll call for a vote.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye. Approved. All right, we'll move to item B. WA 2019-002, consider and act upon a request for approval of a waiver regarding on-site sewage facilities for HGV investment, Unit 2, an approximately 20-acre tract of land located at 21799 FM 2252, City of Schertz, Comell County, Texas. Staff?
So this is a waiver for the Unit 2 of the subdivision you just saw for the Master Development Plan Amendment. Just again for your reference, so this green portion is the now Unit 2. This is FM 2252, and once again, this is the Union Pacific Railroad. So the entire reason for the Master Development Plan Amendment is that the applicant is proposing to preliminary plat approximately 20 acres of land, the Unit 2, into 2 separate commercial lots in order to develop a building materials and lumber store on one of the lots. The applicant is seeking approval of a waiver to UDC Section 21-15-3B wastewater systems in order to have the ability to install privately owned on-site sewage facilities. The on-site sewage facility systems will be regulated by Comal County. The subject property has a dual CCN for sewer with the city of Schertz responsible for collection and CCMA responsible for treatment. So in accordance with UDC Article 15, all lots, tracts, and parcels on which the development is proposed shall be connected to a public wastewater system, and foregoing a connection to that public wastewater system requires a waiver granted by the Planning and Zoning Commission, as you know. The applicant has submitted a waiver letter, a waiver justification letter, in which he details that the closest sewer connection, you can see highlighted in yellow here, is approximately 5,700 feet to the northeast near the intersection of Union Pacific Railroad and Abbey Road. And staff has determined that this added cost of the infrastructure required to comply with this UDC regulation would pose a substantial financial burden to the property owner and developer. If approved, any new on-site sewage facilities needed to serve the proposed preliminary plat will be reviewed and permitted through Comal County. Our engineering department has reviewed this request and is in support of granting the waiver. And the granting of this waiver will not have a negative impact on existing or proposed municipal infrastructure. Therefore, staff is recommending approval of the waiver as submitted. Once again, the engineer is here if you have any questions.
All right, again, we'll ask him if he's got any comments before we discuss. All right, staff, it's on you now.
I'd like to see what staff can comment about the email that we have here from Mr. Sullivan. You know, it's and I guess one of the things rattling around in my mind is what's the long-term strategy for Northern Schertz? At what point, you know, I sat here before the meeting started and I'm thinking, you know, if we're going to continue to not only allow but encourage commercial development in any part of this city, at what point are we responsible for making sure the infrastructure is there to support that commercial development?
So just for context, for the record, the commissioners have received an email from a citizen regarding the waiver and his kind of opinions on it.
Hi, Kathy Woodley, city engineer for anyone who doesn't remember me. So we did read that concern from the citizen, and I can discuss that also, but to address your specific question, what's the plan for Northern Schertz? We do actually have a project called the Town Creek Sewer Line, that portions of it have been done. Phases 3 and 4, I believe, have yet to be done. And the last phase of that will, in fact, run along the railroad tracks to this property. So for this particular location, we have a future project identified in our current master plan. We are beginning to update our water and wastewater master plans and update our impact fee ordinance for water and wastewater capital recovery fees. So within probably a year, we'll have a new master plan that will identify and actually address your comment exactly, and we'll, you know, work through the process with CIAC, which includes Planning and Zoning Commission, to figure out what is the strategy for Northern Schertz. There are some areas that are closer to existing infrastructure that will most likely target first for extensions, but you know, they're hugely expensive. We're working on the Woman Hollering line down in Southern Schertz and have been for years, close to going to bid on that, but that's maybe a $10 million project. So I'm kind of rambling along with some thoughts, but particularly for this location, there is a future project identified, but we haven't gotten to that point yet.
I understand, and that's useful information. It's not that, you know, the city is just not sitting on their hands. They, you know, and I understand it's very expensive. But it, you know, it just, and I think it's inevitable that we're going to see more up here. And, you know, that was just a general interest question, and it's good knowing the city's at least looking in the future. The other thing I wanted to ask, now, all we do is approve a waiver to our UDC. The actual OSSF requires a permit from the county. So, and Mr. Sullivan's concerns are environmental in nature, and he's concerned about can we continue to add septic systems in the drainage of the dry Canal Creek. So at what point, who actually looks at those issues in terms of the environmental impact of an OSSF? I know it's not us, so do you have any idea how what process the county goes through to issue this permit?
Well, the county and Comal County actually has a fairly rigorous process that they go through. They do have some standards that exceed TCEQ standards. They require for commercial septic systems, they provide double the space that would normally be required for the system and any drain field or spray fields. They do have annual maintenance and reporting inspection requirements. We have a solid interlocal agreement with Comal County. They are the regulatory agency that handles these things.
And to your knowledge, then, you know, do they actually, how do I want to phrase this? In other words, they do assess the potential environmental impact as part of their process?
I believe they do, and if the designer and the installer and the owner, if each person in the process handles things properly and does what they should do, then these systems aren't necessarily an environmental problem. If things aren't done properly and if the system isn't maintained, then it can become an environmental problem. So the regulations and engineering standards are there as a safety for the environment. I think there's likely more of an issue when you're looking at residential subdivisions, because you've got a much greater concentration and you've got a lot of folks who are, you know I have a septic system and probably don't maintain it as well as I should. You know, like, what? We haven't had that thing pumped in how many years? You know, and it's a traditional system, so I'm not a requirement. But in any case, the environmental considerations are taken into account starting at the EPA, the state, and then down at the local level.
All right, thank you, Kid.
Comal County is very, very strict on the building setup, what type of system you're going to use. I know I went through it when I put my place up at the lake, so very well aware of what Comal County does.
I appreciate the comments from Mr. Sullivan and his interest in the environmental concerns in this area, but there's not enough information on his email for me to, make a decision against this. I appreciate what he said, but there's just not enough there. And plus, I think there's a considerable amount of livestock out there, and livestock, wildlife in general, contribute to E. coli contamination. So, to be overly concerned about one OSSF, I don't see any concerns with that. I'll trust in the permitting process of Comal County and let them deal with it. Something that Glenn touched on previously. I've been sitting up here for quite a while, and we've approved quite a few projects in the northern section of Schertz. And almost all of them come with a waiver for an on-site sewer treatment facility. And we've always heard there's a sewer collection system coming. It's coming. I've never seen a plan. I don't know where it is. I've never seen one. So I would be interested as a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Capital Improvements Plan that we sit on as well, to one day see a comprehensive plan. When are we going to build this thing? Because we've had numerous opportunities where developers could lay some of this infrastructure for us, and we passed it by. So I think what we're going to see is the city of Schertz is going to be stuck funding all this, and that's not going to be cheap. So I'm interested in seeing where the plan is, what the timeline is, and how soon are we going to get this, because every piece of property up there has a for sale sign on it. So potentially for every piece of property up there to have a septic tank system in it. So I'd like to see something.
And to build off that, I would just add that my concerns for pollution and water quality are mainly not point source pollution like this, but non-point source solution, which is going to be subdivisions and fertilizer and dogs and all of that added together rather than just this development.
And just one more comment, if I may, Mr. Chairman. Nick, look, this came in, well, it was sent yesterday morning, a little after 10 a.m. And John did provide a link down there to go to the, to a watershed protection planning document. But when we get these on the night of the meeting, sitting here on the dais, it's a little late for us to look at anything. So I know you all are busy, but if we could find a way, maybe when things like this come in, to get them to us ahead of time, I'd appreciate that.
Of course.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else? Comments? Concerns? Questions? I see none. We will call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve case WA 2019-002 for the approval of an OSSF facility for the HGV subdivision as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Richard and a second by Glenn to approve WA 2019-002, and it is a waiver regarding an on-site sewage facility. Questions? Then we'll call for the vote.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye. It's approved. All right, we will move to item C now. PC 2018-048. Consider and act upon a request for approval of a preliminary plat of the HGV Investment Subdivision, Unit 2, an approximately 20-acre tract of land located at 21799 FM 2252, City of Schertz, Comal County, Texas. Staff?
As Commissioner Evans said, so this is the preliminary plat for the HEV subdivision, HEV Investment Subdivision Unit 2. It's the waiver that y'all had just looked at and approved. So once again, to go over it, this is Unit 2 outlined in green, fronting onto FM 2252. The applicant is proposing to preliminary plat approximately 20 acres of land in this Unit 2 onto 2 commercial lots in order to develop a building materials and lumber store on Lot 1 here, which is 12.5 acres, while Lot 2 is about 8 acres. The subject property is currently zoned manufacturing light district and is currently vacant, undeveloped land. So both of the lots within the proposed subdivision Unit 2 will have frontage onto FM 2252. TxDOT has granted one shared access point for the 2 lots on 2252, which you can see is right here. It's shown through a proposed 30-foot joint access easement. Not only will this provide access to the actual road, but the easement will allow for cross-lot access between the lots for future commercial development. The proposed preliminary plat, with the waiver being approved as the item before this, meets all other requirements in our Unified Development Code, and therefore staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat as submitted. Once again, the engineer is here if you have any questions specifically for him.
All right, sir, any comments this time? Get tired of me asking you that, huh? All right, staff, commissioners, here we go.
I have, it's more of a question, and it relates not only to this plat, but to plats in general and the one that was on the consent agenda. In the staff memo where we talk about tree preservation and mitigation.
You said tree preservation?
Yeah, what we see on the one on consent agenda, there was an affidavit involved. And here, what we're seeing is the applicant has submitted a tree affidavit which indicates that the development of this site will in no way cause the destruction of or damage to any protected or heritage class trees. My question is this the honor system or do we verify?
We verify.
Okay, thanks.
This specific statement on the affidavit indicates that there's just either not any there or they're there and they're being preserved.
No, I understood
We check, though.
okay, that was my question. Thank
Not a
you.
pinky swear, but
All right, between this document and previous documents you have shown us, I have seen a Lot 1 previously,
yes,
which would be
over here.
to the south,
Yeah, right here. Yeah.
all right? How can I have another Lot 1 in this unit?
There's within two different units. So Unit 1, Lot 1, Block 1, Unit 2, Lot 1, Block 1.
So then the units, I'm going to go back to my original statement to you, where I said you shouldn't have a second Unit 3 because you've already had a Unit 3, and for the sake of tracking paperwork, Unit 3 should be something else now.
Sure, and maybe if that one, a unit had already been developed, then potentially that would be considered. But typically the units are just for the phase of development. And so in this case, only Unit 1 had been developed. And so this naturally became Unit 2 and that became Unit 3. There's got to be a Lot 1, Block 1. So
I understand, but blocks are not necessarily done by development on plats for residential,
right.
nor is it done so for commercial.
And there's options to do, like the entire thing could be Block 1, even though they're separate units. There's a couple of different ways you can do it. It's just, I guess, project engineer preference.
Okay.
Or staff preference.
Commissioners, anybody else? All right, if there's nothing else, the chair will entertain a motion. I see we're
Now, Mr.
all on
Chairman.
board.
Yeah,
Sir? Oh,
I'll take everybody off the hook again, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion that we approve item 5C, PC 2018-048.
Second.
all right, who seconded? Gotcha, thank you, sir. Yeah. I have a motion by Glenn and a second by Ken to approve PC 2018-048 preliminary plat of HGV Investment Subdivision Unit 2. Questions? No. Vote?
Aye.
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 Aye. Gee, I got all of them tonight. Something's wrong. We're running 100%. It's not right.
Build a big one.
Moving to item number 6. Request by commissioners to place items on the future planning and zoning agenda. Anybody?
I would like to suggest, and I don't think there's any big rush, but again, I might be, I am interested in that, maybe a briefing either from staff or from Comal County on the process of approval for a OSSF permit. You know, I'd just like to, or if, you know, a written outline maybe, rather than, I don't know how the rest of the commissioners feel about it. I don't know that it needs to be agenda item if somebody wants to put together a paper. But I'd be curious just to know what the process is. And of course, then what I'm going to eventually ask you for was how do Guadalupe and Bear County do it, but.
We had a presentation from Guadalupe County, but it's been 5 or 6 years ago, so it'd be nice to get an update.
So again, no rush. I'm not looking for it in the next meeting. Maybe put that on the, if it's acceptable to the commissioners, maybe put that on your list of things to look into. Thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. We can look into that and try and get a report going for you.
We had someone from their departments come in. It wasn't you guys, so somebody from Guadalupe County came in and gave a presentation.
Okay,
It was pretty good.
Yeah, we can try to reach out to them to see if one of them can come out, or if that's just not possible, we can try and get kind of just a brief for you.
All right, anything else on this one? All right, if not, we'll move to 6B, announcements by commissioners on anything they've attended. It's, should be, or stuff that we need to know about for the city. Getting a bunch of head shaking. All right, then we'll move to 6C, announcements by city staff. I know they got a bunch. Look at them. They're shaking their heads too. Well, I got to ask city staff a question, because I have this piece of paper with my name on it, and the first thing on it is Wednesday, November 6, 2019, depart for Waco, and then it's blank, and it goes into this hotel information. And it talks about this conference and blah, and blah, and blah. Then it tells me on Friday, November the 8th, 2019, return to Schertz. When? Just like, when are we leaving? When are we coming back? All right. For all of you who don't remember, the APA is next week in Waco. That's what I was getting there.
It's not next week.
November 6th.
Huh?
November 6th, not next week.
Okay.
The first week in November.
A month away. I'm trying. All right, anything else from anybody? All right, do I hear an announcement? Yeah, we're adjourned, right? Meeting adjourned.